Hello everyone. I'm very happy to have you back on my channel. In the previous episode, what happened was not just a simple incident, but a real shock for everyone. When Ivy, an innocent child, the daughter of Tieu San, was kidnapped by the creditors themselves, not because of personal hatred, not because of conflict, but simply to threaten, to demand money and action. That seemed to cross every limit. Tieu San almost completely lost her composure. Anxiety, panic, and fear all mixed together. She was no longer herself, no longer able to think clearly. Only one thing remained: her child. The ex-husband, the one who caused all this trouble, was drowning in guilt. Not that he didn't realize his mistake, not that he didn't understand the consequences, but everything had gone too far. What he caused was now beyond his control. And amid all that chaos, was the only one who remained calm. No panic, no loss of control, no letting emotions overpower reason. He understood. In situations like this, one wrong decision could make everything much worse. So, he chose to step forward, chose to take responsibility, chose to face it, agreed to bring the money, not out of fear, but to ensure one thing: Ivy had to be safe. And in this episode, the story is no longer just about worries and thought, but is pushed to another level, a climax where anything could happen. The meeting location was not a crowded place, not somewhere easy to observe, but an empty area, far from residential zones, with little traffic, a wide space, but desolate. No noise, no clear sign of life, only a silence, cold and unsettling. A sense of unease hung in the air, as if everything had been arranged, and any mistake could come with a price. Hai arrived on time, not early, not late. Each step steady, not rushed, but not slow. In his hand was the bag of money, the very thing they wanted. But Hai's eyes did not waver. No visible fear, no obvious anxiety, only focus, only composure. Because before coming here, he had prepared, not just for handing over the money, but for every possible situation. He had secretly contacted the police, without revealing it, without letting anyone know. Everything had been calculated, step by step, carefully, without mistakes. A plan set in place, with one goal: to bring Ivy back safely. Not long after, the kidnappers appeared. No noise, no attention drawn. They came quietly, their faces covered, hiding every identifiable feature. Their eyes constantly scanning, full of caution, distrustful, alert. They didn't speak much. No unnecessary words, no negotiation, no discussion, only focused on one thing: the money. One of them stepped forward, his voice dry, demanding the money. No bargaining, no options. Hai did not react immediately. He looked at them, observed, evaluated, then slowly placed the bag of money down, not throwing it, not handing it directly, just placing it, keeping a distance enough to control the situation. "Where is she?" His voice lowered, not loud, but clear, not rushed, but firm. He didn't care about the money at that moment. What he needed was confirmation. Ivy was safe. One of them let out a slight laugh, a laugh without emotion. He didn't answer directly, just gestured. From behind, a figure was pushed forward, slowly, unhurried. Ivy appeared, her hands restrained, unable to move freely, her face filled with fear, her eyes no longer calm. But the most important thing, she was safe. No visible injuries. Nothing too serious. At that moment, time seemed to pause. Tieu San stood from afar, unable to step closer, unable to intervene, only able to watch. But just seeing her child, all her emotions overflowed. Tears could not be held back, falling endlessly. She just wanted to run to her, to hold her tight, to make sure her child was still here, still safe. But she couldn't. Not because she didn't want to, but because she couldn't. Hi stood there, didn't turn back, didn't say much, just slightly raised his hand. A small gesture, but enough for Tieu San to understand. Stay calm. She had to stay calm, because at this moment, one sudden move, 1 second of losing control, could change everything. And from that very moment, the tension reached its peak. Every glance, every movement slowed down, as if everything was waiting for what would happen next. Everything was no longer about preparation, no longer just calculations in the mind, but had entered the moment where everything had to go exactly as planned. No room for mistakes, no chance to fix anything. Just 1 second off, and everything could collapse. The tension rose to its peak. The space around remained silent, but inside was anticipation, focus, down to the smallest detail. Every glance, every movement was being watched. Each second passing slowed down, as if stretching longer than usual. And then, the climax happened, without warning, without buildup. In just an instant, when they bent down to check the bag of money, a very small action, yet the decisive moment, a signal was given. No noise, no one noticed, but enough to trigger everything. Immediately, the scene exploded from multiple directions. The police rushed in, fast, decisive, no hesitation. Freeze! Police! The shout rang out, tearing through the silence. No more stillness, no more calm, only chaos. The kidnappers had no time to react. The surprise threw them into panic. Their eyes no longer controlled as before. They tried to resist, a natural reflex, but everything was too late. No advantage left, no control left. Within just a few seconds, one by one, they were subdued. No chance to escape, no way out. Everything ended quickly, decisively, without delay. Ivy was rescued, no longer restrained, no longer controlled, taken out of danger. No serious injuries, nothing beyond control. But what she had gone through was enough to frighten anyone. At that moment, it was no longer about plans, no longer about tactics, but emotion. Tieu San could no longer hold back. No more distance, no more standing from afar. She ran toward her, fast, desperate, as if 1 second too late, and everything would disappear. She held her daughter tightly, an embrace, not just to hold, but to be certain that her child was here, certain that it was over. Tears flowed endlessly, no stopping them, no hiding them. Everything that had been held inside all this time now burst out. Ivy stopped trying to be strong. She cried, holding her mother tightly, not letting go, as if letting go would mean losing her again. Mother and daughter, in the middle of chaos, created a moment completely different. A moment where all fear was released, where all pressure fell away. No words needed. No explanation needed. Just holding each other. Hi. Stood behind. Did not step forward. Did not interrupt. Just watched. His eyes. No longer tense. No more calculations. No more caution. Only relief. A feeling. Like setting down a heavy burden. Everything was finally okay. Not perfect. Not easy. But over. Finished. After that, the kidnappers were taken away. No more resistance. No more aggression. Only silence. What they had done was no small matter. Not something to overlook. The charges did not stop at illegal debt collection, but kidnapping. Kidnapping a child. An act that could not be accepted. The price to be paid was not small. Not just immediate consequences, but just standing there, in a space that had gradually calmed. But inside him, waves were still crashing endlessly. For a long time, he couldn't move. Not because he didn't want to, but because he didn't know where to begin. His eyes no longer avoided like before. No longer escaped the truth. No longer searched for excuses to justify himself. Only facing it. Facing everything he had caused. Facing the consequences that could not be denied. And finally, he stepped forward. Slowly. Step by step. As if every step carried a heavy weight. Nothing left to hold on to. Nothing left to hide. Nothing left to protect himself with. He lowered his head. Not a polite gesture. Not a formality. But a true act of humility. And acceptance. That he was wrong. I'm sorry. His voice came out. But incomplete. Choked. Midway. Not because he didn't want to continue. But because emotions took over. This was not a casual apology. Not words to ease the situation. But everything he had been holding in. Little by little. Spoken out. He apologized to Tieu San. Not only for today, but for all the pain before. Everything he had done. The times he disappointed her. The wrong decisions. That left wounds. Not easy to erase. He apologized to Ivy. Not only for what just happened, but for putting her in danger. A child who never deserved that. Never deserved to feel such fear. And he apologized to Hai. Not for one specific thing, but for everything. For making him carry the consequences. Face things that should never have been his burden. The apologies were not long, not elaborate, but enough. Enough for anyone to feel the sincerity, the regret, and the helplessness of not being able to return to the past. Right after that, the ex-mother-in-law, the one who used to be strong, who once held on to her views firmly, also stepped forward. No longer the same as before. No more strictness. No more imposing words. Only a mother. Tears fell endlessly, uncontrolled, unhidden. She held Tieu San's hand. Her hands trembling. No longer steady. No longer firm. I was wrong. Her voice was soft, but clear. Not because of you. Not because of anyone else. But because of herself. If it wasn't for me, things wouldn't have gone this far. Each sentence needed no long explanation. No detailed retelling. Just that was enough. No more stubbornness. No more pride. No more ego. That once complicated everything. Only regret. A regret that came late, but was real. Tieu San stood there, not reacting immediately, not interrupting, not showing overwhelming emotion. She looked at them, at their eyes, at the way they spoke, at the change, without needing more words. Then she turned to Ivy, the child she had just held tightly not long ago. Her eyes softened. A silence. Lingering. No one spoke. No one rushed. As if everyone was waiting for an answer, a reaction, a decision. And then, after a long moment, Tieu San spoke. Not loud, not harsh, just gentle. It's over. A simple sentence, but full of meaning. No revisiting, no digging deeper, no prolonging, just stopping. As long as from now on, it doesn't happen again. Not easy forgiveness, not forgetting everything, but a choice, a way to close it. No blame, no harsh words, no making things heavier, but enough. Enough for everyone to understand. Enough for everything to stop here. Hai stood beside her, listening, not interrupting when unnecessary. But when he spoke, he said little. No lecturing, no judgment, just a reminder. A simple reminder, but clear. Family is meant to protect each other, not to blame, not to hurt further. Don't wait until you lose it to regret. A sentence, not directed at anyone specifically, but everyone understood. Everyone felt it. The atmosphere gradually changed. No longer tense. No more heavy glances. No more invisible distance. What once existed, what once created separation, now was slowly fading. Not completely, but enough to begin again. The ending of this episode was not about money, not about success, not about a perfect ending, but something else, something simpler, yet harder to achieve. A family that finally understood each other more, knew their mistakes, knew how to admit, knew how to change, and knew how to cherish. Ivy gradually smiled again. A smile without fear, without lingering shadows, only innocence of a child. Tieu San felt lighter, not because everything was perfect, but because she knew, at least, things were moving in the right direction. Hai was still there. No need to show much, no need to say much, but always steady, always a support, and the ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law, after everything, finally realized the things that seemed simple were the most important. Family, trust, care, things that cannot be replaced. After this incident, will they truly change? Will they hold on to what they've realized? And can they begin again? A better life? The answer still lies ahead. Stay tuned for the next episodes to continue following this journey.
Xin chào mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Nay thì mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người video về câu chuyện tình yêu của Tiểu San và Hải nha mọi người. Trong tập này thì mình đã làm đến phần cuối cùng của cái hành trình mà Tiểu San với Hải giải cứu bé Ivy. Vậy thì liệu hành trình tiếp theo sẽ ra sao, diễn biến câu chuyện như thế nào thì mọi người nhớ đón xem những phần tiếp theo nhé mọi người. Bây giờ thì mình đang làm video thôi và cũng chưa có làm xong. Mình đang làm cái này mà sao nó cứ bị lỗi hoài này mọi người. Cảm ơn mọi người rất nhiều. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người trong những video tiếp theo. Bye bye.